Hi everyone, welcome to Track Talk, Decoding the Crossworlds lore. I am Sonic Remix, and joining with me today is our resident lore expert, Radar the Main Wolf. Say hello, Radar.
Hello everybody.
Radar is going to help us talk about some of the different tracks that are in Sonic Crossworlds. We are so excited about these unique tracks, and there are a lot of things to talk about the lore behind each one of them. And there's no one better to talk about this than Radar. So, without further ado, Radar, we're going to be going into our first track to talk about. None other than E-Stadium.
E-Stadium is a motor racing venue that's most likely owned by Dodonpa, and it's designed after Sonic, mainly his eyes and ears, in case that wasn't clear enough to any of the racers online. Shadow and Jet make comments specifically about this, Jet calling it lame and Shadow saying it should have been styled after him. The stadium has indoor digital imagery of Green Hill, because I know that Sega needed to have a Green Hill reference somewhere, but they didn't want to put in actual Green Hill, considering the very loud outcry of fans in particular. I'm sure they've been hearing us a lot. And so this is the next best thing, as we see, as well as little Motobugs and Buzz Bombers, which is very cute. And we also have the appearance of more animal people in the form of pit crews, stadium spectators, and television crews present within the stadium. Closer towards the latter half of the track, there is a travel ring that leads to a shortcut for racers to use at their discretion, which connects a street outside of the stadium to the stadium's racetrack. It looking at the game files, it looks more like an off-ramp from a highway. And hinted by the alternate game credits of Crossworlds, after you defeated all of your rivals and successfully unlocked Supersonic in Grand Prix, it is possible that E-Stadium is actually settled off the coastal edges of Station Square. Again, that's what I believe the credits is hinting at. You can go find out for yourself, where they compare original game images. So, for example, from Sonic Adventure, it's of Amy and Birdie fleeing from Zero, and then it transitions to another stage with Amy, but it has a very distinct city in the background. Which, speaking of that specific stage, in the background of E-Stadium, and I know that it's been mentioned before, Chow Park from later in the game can be seen at nighttime from afar. You can specifically see its Ferris wheel, which also has the Donpa Motor sigil, which possibly means Chow Park is owned by the Donpa. Man, this guy is... The Donpa is definitely an interesting character. And that's it for everything to know about E-Stadium. If you want to know more, go race in it. It's fun.
I'll say, there's some stuff there I really didn't know about, especially you're talking about the ring there and the shortcut ring. So that'll be interesting for me to go find. Though I'm not sure, maybe I've seen it before.
It's during lap 3. It opens up to the rest of the racers once you get past the trick ramps.
Oh, okay. I think I've run into that before. I think there's been a couple times I tried to go up there and then I get suddenly knocked off by another racer. It's just like...
I know. It's so infuriating when that happens. Like, hey, I was trying to get ahead of you, man.
Now, you mentioned Chow Park there just a few moments ago. Can we go and talk about that one now?
Yeah, sure. Since it's right across from E-Stadium, and as I had mentioned before, Chow Park, literally in the name, is a Chow-themed amusement park, most likely also owned by Dodonpa. And as I mentioned this time, where you can see Chow Park at nighttime from E-Stadium, you can see E-Stadium during the day from Chow Park. And also in the same possible hintings from the game credits, it is also settled off the coastal edges of Station Square. It is just by assumption and process of elimination, but I think if that is true, then I think that's a really cool, neat world building. The racetrack of Chow Park takes place on the whole roller coaster ride, right above the park walking path that you can see right below during free falls from the track. A pirate boat ride swings right above the roller coaster, and the roller coaster itself goes through a cave with a waterfall, possibly attached to what I can only assume is a log flume ride, because parks have those. And your machine will race in the water of possibly said log flume ride in lap 3. There is a lot of background detail, especially when it comes to a cruise ship docked right before the parking lot of the park, Chow hot air balloons, blimps from Radical Highway flying overhead, which I believe it's that same speed blimp, as well as billboard advertisements from various items that can be found in the game. And I know that a lot of people would like me to reference that dreaded sharp turn right after the pirate boat ride, because everyone loves that. It's the best part of Chow Park.
I can't say I can really relate. I'm not sure about how bad that is because I've never had a problem.
It just depends on if you know when to stop accelerating or if you're just going full ham on it. And you'll also find that Chow Park also has some very neat little character comments from Amy, Big, Cream, and Blaze. Mostly in reference to the fact that Team Rose would very much like this place, especially Cream. Because if you've heard her dialogue, yeah, she's very excited to be there, as any kid would for an amusement park.
That's cute. I know my partner Griff loves Chow Park. It's her favorite track of all time. And Chow Park, I mean, the way this place is detailed, it looks like a place that I would want to go to in real life.
Make it happen, Sega. We all want something Chow in real life. I mean, look at what Sonic Movie 3 did. Come on, you're just giving us stuff to work with here.
Yes. Well, as much as I love Chow Park, we gotta talk about a beautiful track that is up in the races. Let's discuss Rainbow Gardens.
Yes, Rainbow Garden is certainly an interesting track to see. I know I recall a lot of the speculation at the time when it was first revealed, that people were kind of wondering, wait, is this meant to be like the Starfall Islands? It isn't, but it is still a beautiful place to look at. The fields and mountains are rainbow-colored flowers, the rainbow-colored banners and tapestry, an underground tunnel with rainbow-colored leaves hanging from a ceiling. It's all just beautiful in its multicolored splendidness. Blimps and hot air balloons fly overhead, and this is actually an interesting thing that is commented on by both Tails and Charmy. Specifically Charmy, because in the game files of Rainbow Garden, it's referred to as Flight Camp. And it got you, when you put that together with all of the rest of the aesthetical choices of the garden, especially wooden bridges over a canyon where you're flying overhead, it's like, there seems to be like a flight camp that's held here in the Rainbow Garden. And again, the blimps and the hot air balloons and possibly other planes that I haven't seen yet, but you know, it's just interesting. Like, you think one stage is meant to be something, but then it turns out to be something else as well. There are a lot of examples where the game files revealed the true nature of the levels. And I will also mention the wonderful little dock in the middle of the garden. It's right next to the waterfall stream, right before the tunnel. I don't know. I really like that. It's like, it yes, within the sea of flowers, there's like, you know, a wooden dock that leads into like gazebos and other parts of the garden. It's just very nice to look at, and I'm sure others will agree with me.
Like a boardwalk.
Yes, thank you. I knew there was another name for it, but it was like, I don't know why it wasn't coming to me, but yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, and you know, a flight camp, flight camp and flowers is like flight camp for bees, maybe.
Which is exactly why Charmy says something in the stage.
Yeah, so that makes one wonder. Well, let's move on from the flowers to the water. Let's talk about Water Palace.
Now, I'm going to unfortunately shatter some minds in particular, because as much as it is called Water Palace, this is not the same Water Palace that we know from Sonic Rush. As I have done the analyzation and there is very much a difference between the two. Water Palace here in Sonic Crossworlds is a giant palace building and its partially intact ruins just settled in the middle of the ocean. There is nothing but water for miles. Looking even during the boat section, you can see the background and it is nothing but sky and sea. Underwater hallways, tunnels, and ancient historical oceanic decor. And the game files in this for Crossworlds refer to this as Atlantis, which is a very interesting thing, since we have not really had much of an Atlantis mention since the early classic Sonic games. And with that, it is pretty much telling that it isn't the one from Sonic Rush, not only from the descriptors I just listed, but also the fact that it's missing a lot of key details from the original Sonic Rush level, such as the port town that's in the background, and the water slides that is very synonymous with Water Palace. This is an ongoing trend, by the way, that Sega has done, where locations will simply share names with each other. I mean, I told Shane about this some time ago, that there are canonically 3 Sky Roads in this series, and once you let that settle into your brain, this one also makes a little bit more sense.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that, everyone. She just says, wow. She has a loss for words.
Yeah, really. Is there anything else you can tell us about Water Palace, or is that pretty much it?
I can say that Knuckles and Silver do have comments in Water Palace, but Blaze doesn't, which should also be another descriptor to share the difference between the two. It's the fact that Silver has a very interesting comment where it possibly... The whole palace and just the fact that it's meant to be a city of water. It's that Silver is reminded of Soliana. At least that's what we can make with what he says. The place makes his heart ache, and that's a very, very interesting thing to come out of Silver. As for Knuckles, he is possibly wondering if Water Palace is any other Echidna ruins, because as we all know, Knuckles is still trying to find out about the history of his clan and such, and apparently not only is he looking through places like Angel Island, but he's also looking in places just on Earth, like the Mystic Ruins and, well, here in Water Palace now.
Wow. Okay.
There just seems to be a lot of history with this. And again, like I said, Atlantis has not been mentioned since the early classic Sonic games, so it's interesting that we have something like it in the modern day now. But again, some places and ruins are meant to be a mystery, so who knows what will happen in the future.
Well, I guess we'll see and find out. Well then, let's get out from the Water Palace and head over to somewhere a little more colorful, maybe?
And that would be Colorful Mall, which totally isn't a parody of any other kind of mall. Colorful Mall is entirely Wisp themed, and I love that. The White Wisp, Cyan Wisp, Yellow Wisp, and Pink Wisp are basically the decor mascots of this place. And it is just a festival in a shopping area. Balloons, presents, and a giant gumball machine that possibly has vehicles? 3 floors lined up with shops and advertisements of expensive brands. A food court on the first floor, an indoor concert stage on the second floor, a movie theater on the third floor. This place has everything. And there is an elevator on the second floor, right above the food court that leads to the third floor with a special item box. It is more of a risk-reward situation. It can be deemed a shortcut, but you have to be very tricky as to not lose your first place spot, or just not get dragged down to the bottom when you use it. Down in the food court, there is a lot of shops actually. A place called the Creamy Heaven Ice Cream Shop, the Dog Stand Chili Dog Shop, the Fruits Village Produce Shop, and the Soliana Coffee Shop. Mall visitors, photographers, and television crews are all present, and little comments about the mall and its little shopping ventures are said by Big, Cream, and Rouge. It is just basically the hot spot at the moment, because you don't really see a lot of mall designs in Sonic's world. So this is really nice to see as like, hey, if you guys want to like write your own stories, like here's a place where characters can just hang out if they want.
Yeah, the mall looks like a lot of fun. I came across the movie theater section probably like once, and I've been trying to find a way to get back up there. So that's been a kind of a quest of mine. It's like, how did I get to the movie theater?
There is a lot of great movies to see from the posters in the theater, especially if any of you are fans of Chow in Space. There's quite a few installations that have been added to the Chow in Space series, and also a movie called Orca. I don't know how else to explain it. It's orcas. I don't know. See for yourself if you race through Colorful Mall.
Could Orca be Sonic's Jaws?
From what it looks like, it's Sonic's Dune.
Ah, that's interesting. Well, let's move on from the mall and head to someplace more fun. Let's say the museum?
Yes, and it is quite wonderful if you ask me. Wonder Museum, again, just like with the fact that we don't see a lot of shopping mall designed places for Sonic's world, neither do we have museums, even though recently IDW Sonic had come out with a brand new museum location. However, this came first. Wonder Museum is filled with important pieces of history and relics from all over the universe. Not just Sonic's world, no, the universe. And yeah, there seems to be a lot to talk about when we see the museum is heavy in its dinosaur representation. Literally, the gift shop on the side of the racetrack is filled with dinosaur plushies and postcards. There's a dinosaur egg diorama, and of course, Brontosaurus and Tyrannosaurus Rex skeletons. And what's interesting is that the Tyrannosaurus Rex is specifically the one from Dinosaur Jungle, which is meant to be from Sonic and the Secret Rings, because they have the horns coming out from its nose and right above its skull. So it's interesting that these kinds of T-Rexes technically exist from a historic time in Sonic's world. As well as dinosaur and mollusk fossils, as well as what I believe is meant to be like an evolution directory of just basically all of the animals that have existed over the universe, including the animal people, or at least the representation of it from a Sonic sprite. But going on beyond the dinosaur exhibit, we move on to vehicles such as steam cars, retro cars, classic cars, just motor vehicles in general over the years. You'll also see what appears to be Donpot Airlines turbines and propellers, which makes me start to wonder if Donpot has a very heavy influence on a lot of places in Sonic's world. I mean, we know he was fascinated with it in Team Sonic Racing, but this takes it to a whole new level. Apart from that, you'll also see the Tornado Planes. Yes, the Tornado Planes, owned by Sonic and Tails. The original Tornado from the classic era, the current Tornado since the events of Sonic Frontiers, and the Tornado 1 are all here on display. And beyond that, we go to the back half of the museum, where we see a lot of ancient statues, such as statues from the Starfall Islands, a Moai statue from the Lost Hex, and the Echidna statues from Sandopolis. However, not everything is as normal as it seems, because by the time the racers enter the final lap, Boos and Boom Boo ghosts haunt the museum, bringing all the exhibits to life. And if you've played Crossworlds, you know how much chaos ensues. The cars are literally driving themselves. A giant steamboat is rocking back and forth. The dinosaurs are alive again. It is... You better watch out. It is certainly a night at the museum. And the only thing else I can say is the fact that Silver and Wave are very interested about the museum. Silver, because he wants to learn more about the history of his past, and Wave was certainly wondering if there's any Babylonian representation. Guess we'll have to continue racing around to find out. But apart from that, the museum is a wonderful place. Just make sure there's no ghosts around.
Those naughty boom ghosts, they're always up to no good. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, those ghosts have to come from somewhere. Can you please tell me where these ghosts are coming from?
I can gladly tell you, and unfortunately, Knuckles isn't going to have a great time at this place. He says so himself. Pumpkin Mansion. Oh, this is actually one of my favorite levels that's been shown off. Like, I know a lot of people also like Pumpkin Mansion. It is pretty much just what you'd expect. It is a haunted mansion within the Pumpkin Hills. Literally, you can see Pumpkin Hill in the background from the pumpkin patch. The main hall is full of pumpkins and ghosts. It is just like the hot spot for a Halloween mingling. Quite literally, as there are boomboos wearing little hats just dancing around, which is actually pretty cute. As well as the giant carved pumpkin to look like a boomboo. The hallway afterwards from the main hall splits into two other hallways, which lead into travel rings. And those travel rings will then let machines race on the ceiling. Very Sonic Heroes reminiscent, if you know what I mean. And then ending back down at the hallway floors. And then right before heading right into the main hall again, nope, you are in a free fall down into the sewer access with a boomboo scaring you, because of course there needed to be a jump scare somewhere. And those sewers lead from below the mansion to outside. Boomboos wearing witch hats will linger about the outside, and then that leads you into the giant pumpkin patch, sitting beyond the mansion's front gate. Giant pumpkins block the dirt roads, but they'll disappear for machines. Just make sure you're not following the wrong pumpkin that disappears. And then following the pumpkin patch is a graveyard that rests in between the mansion and the pumpkin patch, where the tombstones are alive, which is unfortunate. Just make sure you guys are tricking up on the ramps with discretion. Don't end up in the tombstone yourself.
Can we talk about that third lap where you end up floating over the track at one point?
Yes, of course. Right before the sewer access, you can also access invisible tracks that are lit up by floating flames. Again, also very reminiscent of Sonic Heroes. And then once you leap off from the invisible track, you go into one of the giant pumpkins and right through to the patch. As well as the fact that Shadow and Vector will make comments, not only Knuckles. Very, very interesting, especially since Vector makes a very cheeky reference.
I actually had a point where I was playing a Shadow, and for two courses in a row, I've actually had Shadow make comments about the track that he was on.
The spirits are truly restless, as the Ultimate Lifeform has said. Which actually goes on to a little fun fact that I will now share too, is that the game files of Pumpkin Mansion refer to it as Law's House. And if that name rings a bell, then it should. You are a real Sonic fan for that one. It is in reference to the ghost from Sonic Night of the Werehog. But unfortunately, despite the fact that it has her name in it, there is a lack of appearance from La, Su, Wu, and the baby ghosts from Marza Animation Planet's little cast from Night of the Werehog. Makes me wonder if it was meant to be a track based off of Night of the Werehog, but then it ended up being Pumpkin Mansion. Not that I'm offended by it, but it would have been nice to see them again.
Yeah, it would have been so cool to see them in the game, but oh well, it is what it is.
At the very least, we have the Werehog in this game, so that's something, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move away from the Pumpkin Mansion then and head to someplace a little more urban. Maybe the Urban Canyon?
A very familiar place if you spent hours just waiting in the main lobby of Sonic Racing Crossworlds. This is Urban Canyon, which was probably one of the earliest tracks to have been revealed, but we had no information to go off of it until later down the line of Sonic Racing Crossworlds' promotional hype. It is a very colorful and rugged canyon area with underground nature. The terrain is made up of something called Apple Rock, according to the game files, and it is truly a mesmerizing place. There's a forest beneath the canyon that has a stream supported by waterfalls leading out to the open lake, and there are domed cities installed all across the canyon. And, well, as the name implies, urban, there is a roundabout from a freeway that goes below the racetrack. cell towers, holographic banners, solar panel installations, just many modern technologies all around amongst palm trees and other shrubbery in the canyon. And then, of course, we also have the main stadium that acts as not only the starting and finishing line, but the game's main lobby, when not during festival events. And right next door to the stadium is the race park, which you can also take a gander at in Sonic Racing Crossworlds in case you want to beat some AI rivals. And Jet makes a comment that he really likes this place. It's his kind of track. And it's like, you know what? I respect that about you, Jet the Hawk.
Well, we know what kind of places Jet likes then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on from the urban canyon and move on to Coral Town. Let's discuss that.
Oh, man. Coral Town is a very interesting place. I think it was probably one of the last few places that I had been looking into during the promotional hype of Sonic Racing Crossworlds. An underwater-inspired city, also in the middle of the ocean, made up of colorful coral structures from rock foundations. And it seems to be somewhat of an archipelago almost, because there are identical islands that look just like it out in the ocean that you can see in the background. It's beautiful. Mosaic pattern architecture decorates the streets and buildings, topped off with a giant stone fountain. And the town is a literal maze. SBO makes a comment on such. Bridges that twist and turn, forks in the road, overlapping over and below each other. You'd be surprised how many times I actually got turned around because of it. It's also home to bioluminescent lit lamps and hanging lights. And the rocks with coral growing out of them also let off waterfall streams that connect to the open ocean. Huge sponge-like star platforms let machines bounce on them, while coral platforms spawn big bubbles from its middle, like bubble columns. And you'll also find little prizes inside those bubbles if you could. It's topsy-turvy, but it's a very fun topsy-turvy. So if you can handle all of the sharp curved turns, then I think you can ace Coral Town.
Yeah, I like looking for all the different paths there is to take the turns in, and if there's anything that I haven't rode through yet, it's like I try to take those.
My favorite path to use, and yes, I will be exposing myself, I go to the right path from the starting line, and then I go for the full-on left, because that will at least keep me on track with all the rest of the racers. So it's right, then left, then right, and then left. If you can remember that, then maybe you can keep up with me. And Coral Town is very nostalgic to a certain other dimensional princess, as it is very reminiscent to her home. And as a reminder, Coral Town is found on Sonic's Earth. Even though I would have loved to have visited Blaze's dimension for a race, who knows? Maybe Dodonpa can make it happen in the future.
Who knows? That'll be interesting to see, but that's for another time. Well, Coral Town is nice to ride through, but let's talk about a beautiful track that I want to learn more about. Let's talk about Aqua Forest.
Oh man, probably the most Sonic Riders-esque track that isn't from Sonic Riders. I know so many people have commented on that. It feels like it. It should be, but it isn't. It is entirely original to Crossworlds. A forested area of giant trees and glass stream passages. Wooden platforms along the tree branches make up the main ports and boardwalks of the entire area. Pretty much just a ocean port, but in a forest. Giant wooden paddle steamer boats deliver lumber barges along the stream passages. Lighthouses, cranes, hanging lanterns with propellers for some reason, and blue lit lamps are abundant around the forest. Gazebos are for shelter and for spectators or supply. And there's even a bridge that goes over a hollow tree stump that leads back to the main port and the starting line. A little fun fact, and I'm sure a lot of people have caught on to this as well, a dash ring leads up to a shortcut that, in turn, leads to a travel ring that transports machines to a downward slope that leads out into the next giant stream passage. And then you'll also find a numerous amount of dash rings, which will allow you to skip a chunk of the giant glass stream passage. It's just a lot of parkour and trickery that you need to do with your machine, but it is very fun. This is definitely one of my favorite boat section themed racetracks. It's like it's just a lot of fun. The time on the water is a lot more fun here, I'd say, in my opinion, than most other levels. I'd say the closest it gets to for a second place is Water Palace.
I love how Aqua Forest combines two of my favorite elements. It would be like water and forest, because I love how it's like almost like like you said, it's like a port in the forest. So
a roller coaster in the trees, so as the social media have said. And Wave also seems to like Aqua Forest a lot. She seems very, very, very adamant about surfing through the waves. I never figured that for Wave. But you know what? What makes her happy will make her happy. All on you, Wave the Swallow. Surf's up.
Oh yeah. So let's move on from the forest and up to the mountains. Let's discuss Crystal Mines.
Yes. The next few tracks actually have a little bit of parallels between them, and I'm sure you all will possibly take note of it in the future. Crystal Mine is, well, it's in the name. A mountainous region being mined for energy resources by Donpa Holdings. This is where Dodonpa is looking for energy resources and such. And it's interesting, actually, that this isn't meant to be his home planet. It's very clearly still Earth. So I can only imagine how much Dodonpa had to spend to mine on Earth. You know, sure, why not? Dodompa's own construction equipment are digging up protruding crystals, and there are mineral walls being unearthed within the quarry. And by lap 3, you better be careful, because a lot of the heavy machinery activates, and it becomes a problem for the racers in the sky. So I hope you're maneuvering well. And Knuckles seems pretty adamant about exploring the place. The place seems like it's just begging to be explored. Huh. I wonder where I've heard that one before.
Huh. I wouldn't be caught exploring in a crystal mine, not with active equipment all around.
It's the Donpa. I can trust the Donpa's own stuff, even though he's very eccentric. However, there is another mining excavation that I don't trust as equally as the Donpa's.
Ooh, you gotta spill, please.
So on the opposite side of this, in comparison to Crystal Mine, we have Blizzard Valley, which is a mountainous area being mined for energy resources by the Eggman Empire. This is this is the polar opposite yin and yang situation here, folks. The race is in the middle of a snowstorm. I'm sure you all are having gripes about this one already. Freezing the valley with snow and coating over the road with slippery ice. Eggman aesthetic facilities, barriers, and other installations are littered about the slopes. And a giant drilling machine breaks into an open cave, unearthing the minerals beneath the rocks below. And unfortunately, by lap 3, it destroys the scaffolding platforms that was making up the lap 1 racetrack. And you'll see numerous egg pawns deployed to tend to the site, but also cheering on the racers? I mean, there is an egg pawn racing alongside the other characters, and you know what? Sure, cheer for your own, guys. Be happy. And actually, here's another funny parallel. Whereas Knuckles was commenting on Crystal Mine, Storm comments on Blizzard Valley, reminding him of a previous icy expedition he went on in Sonic Riders.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what, Eggman's operations always seem to be so dangerous. It's like, how does he keep getting away with this?
I mean, I'm glad that it changes up thanks to the destruction, but also like, yeah, no, that's not safe at all. But this is Eggman we're talking about. He has a very specific definition of safe. Oh well, I'm sure the egg pawns will fix up all those fallen scaffoldings and, yeah, try to preserve whatever minerals are still not cracked by that whole destruction. But, Eggman wasn't there to look over the thing, so, I don't know. I think this is just on him.
Yep. Well, let's get away from the Eggman facilities and head to someplace a little more safe. Let's take a look at Donpa's factory.
And if this place seems familiar to any of you viewers, then it should. It is where one of the races took place during Sonic Racing Crossworlds, the animation. This is Dompa Factory, a Dompa Motors machine and vehicle manufacturing facility, and our very first look at Dompa's own planet, Dompa Kingdom. It is the first time we are seeing it since it's been first mentioned in Team Sonic Racing 6 years ago. The circuit drives through a Dompa vehicle showcase, an assembly line, and an environment testing area. And you'll also see that the windows of the factory show Dompa Kingdom to have a green sky, which also, fun fact, you can also see Dompa Kingdom in the background of the friend match lobbies. So that's a little fun thing to know. Mechanical arms, hovering drones, paint spraying robots, and wraparound brush machines are established into the assembly line as very unfortunate track hazards. A shortcut ramp is settled in between the end of the assembly line and the start of the environment testing area, which will lead out to a faster way to pass by other machines. And then you'll also see that there are Dompa Motors vehicles being tested in artificially built zones: forest, rock, rain, snow, desert, and lava, just to really show how sturdy Dompa Motors works on their products. Aside from that, there's billboard advertisements for literally everything Dompa, and Eggman and Tails are both very, very intrigued to learn about the Dompa's secrets for two different motives in particular. Again, Eggman and Tails specifically.
Yeah, you don't want to be hit by those spray machines, those paint spray machines.
They are the worst. But it's like, you know what? Sure, they have a job to do. It's fine. For me, I actually have more difficulty with the wraparound brush machines when the cars are being cleaned. It's like those getting in the way. It's I'm not gonna worry about it. It's fine. The robots have a job to do, and again, I'm just happy we have just a look at another planet in Sonic's universe. And while Dompa Factory is the testament of the Dompa's own genius, we have to look elsewhere for the genius of another brilliant machinist. Behold, Eggman Expo. Oh my goodness. A flying platform showcasing the great genius and creations of Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik. And there are actually people visiting? What are they doing there? Can somebody warn them real quickly?
Get out of there, quick!
Oh, well, it's too late. They're too high up in the sky. The Expo is in the shape of the Eggman Empire logo, while taking a aesthetic from the Central Fortress ship seen in the Sonic Unleashed intro. Everyone knows about that one. Egg Fleet battleships fly overhead, watching over the Expo, while a few are parked on the Expo itself. And there seems to be a lot that Eggman has packed into this one. A giant Motobug sits at the entrance for visitors to take pictures at. There is a mechanical exhibit, represented by Egg Pawns, an artificial intelligence exhibit, represented by Orbot and Cubot, a chemical plant exhibit, and an egg space exhibit. That last one is new. I'm worried about that one. And of course, we couldn't have an Eggman installation without a golden statue of himself sitting next to the racetrack, similar to a previous one that we've seen in the actual completed Eggman Land.
Oh yeah. And don't forget about some of the machines that come to life after Track 3.
Oh boy. Yeah, there is a lot of hazards with this, despite it being a showcase. A swinging egg wrecker ball hangs behind the Eggman Expo front sign. Showcases of Motobugs, Buzz Bombers, Grabbers, Egg Pawns, Egg Fighters, Egg Robos, and Egg Gunners. The whole lineup of Batniks. The Egg Dragoon, specifically the Mark II iteration from Sonic Forces, is settled in the main hall, whereas two Death Egg Robot Mark IIs from Sonic Forces loom over the Expo, just standing there giantly, menacingly. And then you'd also have a propeller-held building, which is an entrance to a giant tube of Megamac liquid that some of you will remember from Chemical Plant, while also holding up an original Death Egg Robot mecha. But unfortunately, as Shane had mentioned, the Egg Dragoon Mark II and the original Death Egg Robot activate and will attack machines in Lap 3. Things become violent pretty fast. However, Eggman and Sage are not bothered by it, considering their comments about the wonderfulness of the Eggman Empire. However, Shadow and Omega are on guard. They are severely watching their every move. It is not safe up there, even though everyone's racing up there. Yeah, I hope this doesn't turn into another Final Fortress situation from Team Sonic Racing, but you know what? I'm just going to assume that everything is okay. So, you know what? I think we can leave the sky and head back to the ground.
Yeah, leave it to Eggman to have his robots attack the racers.
Leave it to Eggman to leave his stuff online.
So you talk about wanting us to leave the sky back on the ground. How about we just leave the planet altogether?
You know what? That is totally okay, considering our next topic, which is Golden Temple. And, man, that time where we thought it was Night Palace or just something Secret Rings related was so interesting. But, Golden Temple is an entirely original location that we are looking at. We are now in the Crossworlds territory of original track designs for Sonic. Golden Temple is, well, it is entirely a world made out of gold, supposedly, according to social media. Oh my gosh, a giant palace just, adorned with just gold and a lot of very futuristic technology, with an eclipse shining over it. There's giant steel, gold balls, just giant hazards that go over the racetrack and splits off into a three-way road. And then you're also down to a winding area that leads to a water tunnel. It is a very interesting place. We've never seen anything like this. And you know what? Sure, why not? Lanterns that look like diamonds almost. There seems to be like an ancient inscription in some of the golden scenery. There's golden spires, what appears to be like rock formations in the background as well. Like the temple was built into the rock specifically. Just like Coral Town, it has waterfalls that lead out into, I'm assuming is its ocean, and then it leads down to beneath the temple and down to the travel ring. I didn't want this summary to be as fast as it was, but it's interesting that a place like this exists and such. And it's like, it doesn't seem to be connected to like anything else that we've seen in Sonic's universe before. It's just entirely new, and it makes me wonder, will we ever see a place like this again? I can only assume so, considering Dodonpa's technology, but it's like, it's just a mystery on top of a mystery. It's like, where is it? And like, what's up with all the ancient text that's attached to the building? It's all lit up in blue, too. It reminds me of the Starfall Islands, almost.
Well, considering our track of the many aliens that have visited our Sonic's world, that makes you wonder, what kind of inhabitants may have been in this place if they even still exist.
My brain was thinking that if this was possibly, if it was in any way, shape, or form connected to the ancients, or if not that, could this possibly have been some time in reference to the Babylonians? Because at least the Babylonians' planet, as far as we know, is still out there. Just the Babylonians were never able to return back home after they got stranded on Earth. So, yeah, it's like, is it attached to some of these ancient alien species, or is there like an entirely different civilization that is still living there? Again, a mystery, but a very beautiful stage nonetheless.
Maybe we'll find out more sometime in the future with another Sonic game, or even with another racing title. Who knows? Well, I do believe we have at least one more track to talk about. Let's go into something a little more steampunkish, maybe?
Ha! It's very on the nose when you say it like that. Seriously, Steampunk City, which I will go out of my way to say, one of my favorite new locations that have been revealed in Sonic Racing Crossworlds. As much as I would have liked to have seen another Sonic Riders stage, because a lot of people will know that we thought this was meant to be a stage from Sonic Free Riders, I am happy that this place exists. Oh my gosh, it is beautiful. All of the orange, browns, and bronze colorings of the stage. Steam engine trains are literally the highlight, whereas you enter in through what appears to be the main downtown area, and you get to see all of these shops and just communal areas, bridges overhead, steam pipes and gears just adorned the entire area. And down below, what reminds me of like London almost, it's like there seems to be like a community below of houses just amongst the fog beneath train tracks. And again, the giant steam trains that are littered about the area, as well as the absolute humongous train in the middle of the track, which honestly, I'm going to excuse despite the fact it's caused me so much pain. I love it. What appears to be very steampunk-esque hot air balloons and like flying ships overhead along these, what I can only assume is like giant bronze towers with, again, pipes going into it. Like there's vats and other materials that make up the area. And then over towards the city line, you see these giant blue gears that are connected to one another along the racetrack, which I'm assuming is sort of like a power thing. I'm assuming it's a power thing. And then once we get over to the flying section, we fly over more giant steam trains. But be careful with the smokestacks. They can hurt you for some reason. But we do get to see more of the city line, and it's beautiful. Just a lot of the steampunk architecture, the many bridges overlapping each other, the train tunnels, again, the communities down below amongst the fog, and you can even see a giant zeppelin in the sky. It's so cool. It's really cool. I love Steampunk City.
Oh man, Steampunk City. I love steampunk thing stuff. Has any character said anything in particular about this track?
Eggman has said that despite the fact that the city has a long way to go because they're still using steam power, he has ideas from it. And Zaz just wants to break everything.
Of course he does, because he's a savage.
I wouldn't let him near this place again. But again, the place is really nice. It's like, I have my own ideas with Steampunk City in mind. And I know that to some people it does feel a lot like, it feels reminiscent to Machine Labyrinth from Sonic Rush Adventure, which, yeah, because that feels a little bit like the last like steampunk-esque sort of like rustic machine based level from Sonic that we've had. But now we have this, and you can see you can see a little bit of influence. And then also shout out to what appears to be like a train house. I keep forgetting what the name is, but I know it's something like that. But it's like there's like a train house that like houses the trains themselves in the background behind the first giant train. Also, shout out to a friend of mine who I know loves this stage because they love trains. There's not a train coming my way, is there? I just said the thing.
Oh, hopefully not. But, it is what it is. But yeah, Steampunk City is such a fun track to go through. Well, I would love to discuss more tracks with you, but unfortunately we are out of time. Radar, I thank you so much for discussing all these wonderful tracks with us and the lore behind it. It is so awesome to learn some of these things, especially about some tracks that I didn't think about, the lore behind it, because, I thought it was one thing and turns out it's another. Oh gosh.
Sonic's world is so interesting, and it's why I've devoted a lot of my time as a Sonic fan to look so far into it. And I know some other people tend to do that as well, but it's like, you look at like the finer details and it's just, wow, you can be surprised from some things, really. But yes, alas, we can't get to all of the tracks from the game. That is 39 tracks overall. That was definitely going to take another hour or so. However, We will be sharing honorable mentions. If your favorite track wasn't seen during our discussion, we are going to be mentioning them all right now. Our honorable mentions go out to Metal Harbor from Sonic Adventure 2, Sand Road from Team Sonic Racing, inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, Mystic Jungle from Sonic Forces, Apodos from Sonic Unleashed, Ocean View from Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, inspired by Sonic Heroes, Market Street from Team Sonic Racing, inspired by Sonic Unleashed, Radical Highway from Sonic Adventure 2, Kronos Island from Sonic Frontiers, North Star Islands from Sonic Superstars, White Space from Sonic X Shadow Generations, Dinosaur Jungle from Sonic and the Secret Rings, Roulette Road from Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, inspired by Sonic Heroes, Magma Planet from Sonic Racing Crossworlds, inspired by Galaxy Force, Cyberspace from Sonic Frontiers, Dragon Road from Sonic Unleashed, Kraken Bay, inspired by Sonic and the Secret Rings, Galactic Parade from Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, inspired by Sonic Colors, Sky Road from Team Sonic Racing, Holoska from Sonic Unleashed, Sweet Mountain from Sonic Colors, Hidden World from Sonic Lost World, Digital Circuit from Sonic Racing Crossworlds, and White Cave from Sonic Riders.
Well, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much again for joining us. And coming up next, we got the Q&A with Mariah Angeline, the voice of Maria from Sonic Adventure 2. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.
Cheers, everybody!